What's up, everybody? It's Troy. I hope you're doing great. Today, I want to invite you to think about and consider changing your relationship with fear, right? Fear is such a heavy energy at times. There's obviously good parts of fear. It can protect us in moments where we really need to avoid something. And also, the way it plays out for us in our life is it most often contracts us, it keeps us small, it disallows us from experiencing the best parts of our life and ultimately ourselves. And so, what has happened for me as I've started to unfold and change this story is I've learned to look at fear through a different lens. And I want to invite you to do the same. I think it'll be really powerful for you, and it can ultimately change our reality. And so, if we can change our lens when we feel fear, and the first thing we need to do is kind of acknowledge it and feel it in our body. Like, where does it show up? How does it show up? Like, those are some deeper questions to ask ourselves, right? Like, how does fear show up for me? Do my shoulders tighten? Does my throat contract? Do I start to get in my head and start to create, different ideas and reasons why I shouldn't do something? And there's our recognition, our acknowledgement of fears taking place. In that moment, what we're doing also is we're creating separation from the emotion. We start to see fear as just a moment, right? As just an energy, as just an emotion. And we can disassociate and move ourselves away from it and realize that we are not our fears. We are not our fears, right? And then the lens starts to change. And what we do then is we look at fear simply through the lens of fear is a part of myself wanting to stay the same, wanting to be normal, not wanting to stretch, not wanting to grow, just wanting to play small and safe. And ultimately, notice that part wanting to play small, keep us in contracted states, right? But the deeper part of ourselves, the deepest part of ourselves, want to stretch, wants to grow, wants to experience life at its fullest. But how can we do that if we just listen to that voice of fear and allow fear to be our master? Instead of just seeing for what it is, it's just an emotion. It's just parts of ourselves saying, I don't want to stretch. I don't want to grow. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of being embarrassed, right? But I promise you, there's been moments in your life where you felt that, but you did something anyways, that you wanted to do. You wanted to stretch yourself. You wanted to experience something. And remember the emotion that you felt by doing it and how you felt afterwards. You felt better. You felt great. I'm sure you did, right? And if not, maybe there's a little inner critic, a little self-judgment going on. Guilty of that too, right? But I think something that will help you kind of loosen up, right, to this idea. And helping as I'm speaking to you, I'm always also speaking to myself. Remember that. And that is because I'm in process, right? As are you. And so one of the mantras that we can carry is instead of perfection, look at life and look at yourself through the lens of progress, right? Let's get rid of that perfection mindset, that perfection mentality. We don't want to be perfect. That's gross. That's heavy energy. We don't want to carry that. I am so imperfect, but that's what makes me human. It's what makes us all human. Robots are very good at being perfect, and we aren't robots. The last time I checked, right? So consider having a mantra of progress over perfection, carrying that, and then looking through fear through the lens of, oh, here it is. I feel this. I see it. I see it. I feel it in my body. And this is parts of me not wanting to grow. These are parts of me wanting to stay normal, wanting to stay the same. And then seeing that and going forward anyways and allowing ourselves to move into the feelings of expansion and growth. Because when we move into those spaces, when we do the thing, when we do stretch ourselves, it calls in a new part of us, right? It's like a snake shedding its skin, right? Like we have to, when we grow and we stretch, like quite literally, think of that, right? Think of like biologically for a snake. When it grows, it has to shed a layer. We have to shed parts of ourselves, right? And so when we allow ourselves to expand, to grow, to stretch, we quite literally do the same thing. We shed layers of ourselves. We allow ourselves to be in progress. We remind ourselves that I'm different today than I was yesterday. And tomorrow, I'm going to be different than I was today. But we're building momentum. We're building progress. We're allowing ourselves to move forward in a direction that serves the deepest part of ourselves. You know, when you wake up and you look at your day and you see how, and I remember being here, I shared this story before, right? How I was so depressed that I couldn't see, like, I literally, quite literally, everything was black and white. I couldn't see like colors around me. I was so depressed, so heavy, right? And, what I wish I had done, and it took a while, ultimately I ended up getting there, right? But would have looked through the lens a little bit differently, right? If I could have looked through the lens of, all right, where am I contracted? Where am I not stretching myself? Where am I just allowing myself every day to wake up and have the same normal routine, right? Maybe it's the same, junky foods I'm eating, the things that I'm actually putting into my body. What am I consuming from like a media standpoint? Am I just digesting more junk? What are the thoughts that I'm carrying in my mind? Are they, junky thoughts, right? Do I have a lot of self-criticism, self-judgment? Am I judging others? When I see someone else's success, do I immediately judge it, right? Or do I allow myself to channel that energy and go, wow, I want to learn from them. I want to be like that. I want to move towards that energy. I want to have a smile on my face. I may not be where I want to be right now, but that doesn't mean I can't be in another day, another situation, tomorrow even, right? And so when we feel those energies, right, we feel the depression, the heaviness, the ultimate medicine for depression is expression. So there's your key, there's your cue. Like if you feel depressed, you're not expressing yourself. So where do you need to express yourself more fully and completely? It could be something as simple as just art, starting to paint, starting to create something, right? It can be to use your voice. It can be to start creating a little business idea, a little side hustle, right? Like, dude, I still have side hustles. That's something that I've used to create momentum in my life. What's something I can put up on an Etsy? What's something I can put up on eBay, or just start to move, create a little momentum in my life, a little bit of freedom for me, a little bit of ingenuity and creativity into my aura, into my being, right? And then it forces us in those situations to learn more, to stretch more, to read some books, to study from other people. But if we're not allowing ourselves to grow and to express, ultimately fear is our master. And so this is your invitation to not let fear be your master any longer, right? See fear as simply a moment of awareness, a moment of awakening that can take you into yourself a little bit deeper, right? That's our cue into, okay, I need to stretch. I need to go anyways. And feel the embarrassment, feel all that energy, and know that you're going to be all right. Like, I'll often ask myself, like, okay, worst case scenario, what's going to happen if I do this? And it goes terribly wrong. I look like a fool, right? Maybe I make a new program. I got this men's retreat going on right now. Well, what if nobody shows up? Okay. What if nobody shows up? I have to ultimately let go of that attachment and go, maybe no one does show up. Okay, so I get there and it's just me. And I get to camp out for a weekend by myself. Oh well, data. What could I have done more of, less of, and differently? Those are the questions that we ask ourselves. Not judgments, right? Not what I did right, what I did wrong. And ultimately, I believe by letting go of that attachment, by being okay and surrendering to maybe this won't work out, which might be my greatest fear in that moment, ultimately what that is going to do is loosen up my own energy, allow me to express, allow me to connect, and it'll actually become very abundant because we're just connecting to the abundant energy that we already have. We already have all these things. You already are abundant. It's already there, right? It's our own blockages from people, from culture, from the school system, whatever you want to say, right? They get put on us. These different situations get put on us. We create stories in our mind, and we disallow ourselves from being who we truly and ultimately are. So change the lens how you look through fear a little bit. Progress over perfection, right? And these things are going to take you deeper into your life. They're going to create momentum for you. You'll be able to express more fully and completely. And that heals depression, right? And anxiety is just a knock on the door. It's just a little knock on the door. You are not your anxiety. You are not your fear. Just see it, acknowledge it, allow it to be your teacher, and allow it to ultimately be your catalyst to take you forward into a higher and different direction. I love you all so much, man. If you could do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe. That really helps support me. I just want to share. I want to share from my heart, help you all. We're in this together, man. We're on the freaking journey together. We're all walking each other home, like Ram Dass said once. And yeah, and then share it with somebody. That'd be awesome. Maybe somebody who can really benefit from hearing this. So until next time, you guys, peace.